I'm tired. I'm tired. So at the time of recording this, it is about quarter to one. Quarter to one. I had to work today. Well, yesterday technically, and had to close. So yeah, that was great. And big reveal at the end of this episode was already spoiled for me. Technically spoiled twice. All right, spoiled for me because I heard about it, and then a friend sent me a message about it. I didn't respond to it. I want to be snippy, like thanks for spoiling it for me, because you hear a rumor doesn't mean it's gonna be true. But yeah, yeah. So I came home. Then I realized I left my snacks at work. I didn't want to go back because it was closed. And so I'm like, okay, okay, I'll scrounge something up, and I'll watch this. And I watched it, and how is this possibly? Not even possibly. It's definitely my least favorite regeneration story of all time. Like how do you dangle the Rani? Archie Punjab. Archie Punjab. Uh, uh. And you dangle Omega, one of my favorite antagonists. And you just do that. Like, there was a really cool rumor that Peter Davison would be taking the appearance of Omega. I'm like, okay, that's cool because the last, action story we had with Omega was the Fifth Doctor story. The Fifth Doctor versus Omega. I'm like, okay, Peter Davison you know, playing the role of Omega. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. And then it's just all resolved in the first less than half of this story. This was legitimate hour plus. And in that time, it's an hour, hang on. It's on the screen. The reality war was an hour and 8 minutes. All right. Your average episode of Doctor Who was 40, 50, 40, 49 minutes, 46, 49 minutes. So let's just say just under an hour. So an extra 18 minutes. And this story is all about Poppy. Now, thematically, does this work? Maybe not for the season, but for the the overall arch of Shooty's era, because this is Shooty's last episode. He regenerated into, yeah, Billy Piper. Um, let's put a pin in that. Let's just talk about what happened here, because I'm just so tired now. But so 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 thematically, with the idea that technically Shooty's first episode is what was it, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, the church on Ruby Road? Okay, and that is a story of Ruby being a foundling. Okay, okay, so babies. The first episode of Shooty's Doctor is about space babies. I'm like, okay, okay, so and there's this whole idea of the Doctor talking about being a parent, being a dad. I'm like, okay, okay, maybe, kind of, this can sort of work. Um, but no, because the fact is Poppy isn't real. First of all, okay, so I need to relax. I need to relax. This world that Conrad has created, all right, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so the way Conrad creates it is disabled people can't be fixed. All right, so they don't, which is technically, oh, I don't. Could we could we do that? So they exist as homeless people. Okay, but Rose Noble can't exist because Conrad can't see a world with trans people, but he can imagine disabled people. But he can't imagine disabled people. I don't. I don't care. But anyway. So Anita from Joy to the World showed up, and I like Anita, so that's fine. But it just felt really convenient because I guess most of the time, like the boss that Anita mentioned says hello. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, but let's not belabor this. So this whole point is the Rani's doing this because she wants to restore um, Gallifrey, and she's implying that something happened to the Time Lords. I thought she'd be mentioning the fact, hey, remember when the Master killed all the Time Lords and turned them into Cybermen? To me, that would have made sense. Okay, okay. that would be the thing we're trying to undo, bring them all back. But he wants to go through Omega. I'm like, okay. The Doctor seems to imply that he hasn't met Omega, the way he talks about him. But then Kate mentions that they fought Omega. That, like, hey, my father battled Omega. The three Doctors. Really, really great story. And I'm like, oh, okay, so, but you've mentioned that happened. Why doesn't the Doctor remember that happened? But then he goes, remember me, Omega? But you've met him? So why are you calling him like a, like saying like he was remembered as a mad tyrant? Like, no, Omega was a hero on Gallifrey. All right, I'm not like interpreting anything differently. Like in the Three Doctors, the third Doctor says like that, you're a hero. All right, he's not happy because he felt he was forgotten. He wasn't banished. He was trapped, or depending on who you ask. And is he really the most powerful one? I guess because he lives in a world of his own making. But that's often been Rassilon. But the more you know about Rassilon, the more you realize he doesn't really make anything. But whatever. Just then the whole issue with the Rani and Omega is resolved super quickly. And then Ruby comes in, she takes the baby and makes a wish. The baby like, Conrad, I wish for you to be happy. So Conrad's happy. So we're all good now. But the big issue is the Doctor being way too attached to Poppy. So in this world, this wish world for the Doctor, he has a daughter named Poppy. And it's the Doctor of Poppy and Belinda. Of the Doctor and Belinda. Now, here's the weird part. Belinda doesn't remember giving birth to Poppy, and like she doesn't remember how long she was in labor. And if there's one thing you know about a lot of moms, especially young moms, with their first child who's possibly not even a year old, she doesn't remember anything about the labor. I'm like, no, no, that's she doesn't. She has a moment where she goes out, she screams, like, okay, so she should be freaking out that she doesn't remember that she had a daughter. That doesn't happen a lot in the previous episode. Then she comes in like she's all like, yes, I have a daughter. This is our daughter, but you've already admitted this child isn't real. And the doctor is like, oh, well, she's real because, like, she's a wish, she's a mistake. Like, that's all babies. Like, yeah, but legitimately, this child only exists because she was made from a wish. Not like in a Pinocchio where she exists only in this world. So everything the doctor does is like, well, we have to make sure we get everything we want. Like, okay, okay, so Poppy has to be safe. The Rani can't use Poppy to bring the Talmans back because she's part Time Lord and part human. I'm like, this also doesn't make sense because she technically isn't real. She's only real in the confines of that fake world. And then it turns out Time Lords and Time Ladies are sterile and infertile. I'm like, this doesn't matter because the Doctor isn't a Time Lord. Remember the whole Timeless Child thing? The Doctor is a being from another dimension that isn't a Time Lord. So that's not the reason the Doctor can't, you know, do bump uglies. All right? And it's just, it all gets resolved so quick. Hey, the Doctor, hey, I'm here. Here's the Rani. Omega eats the Rani. The Doctor pushes Omega back into the hole. And there we go. Ruby defeats Conrad, wishes Conrad to be better. Everything is done fine. But it turns out the downside is, hey, Poppy's gone. So the Doctor goes out of his way after Ruby makes a very weird choice. Honestly, would it have been better if Ruby had never told the Doctor Belinda, hey, you had a daughter? Because Poppy disappears over the course. It's almost like she couldn't be sustained. Fine, whatever. So Ruby's the only one that seems to remember. They never explain why she can't remember, and she has to jump through hoops to convince everybody, "Hey, you had a daughter," and like we remember that. Okay, so I'm going to do what I need to do to get Poppy back. I'm like, okay, but the other thing, but I have to move reality a smidge, which the only thing that can do that is a Time Lord, which, as we established, and the Timeless Child, the Doctor technically isn't a Time Lord. So theoretically, you can make the case that the Doctor is the template for all Time Lords. So technically, the Doctor outranks Omega, but whatever. So as the Doctor gets ready to make this huge sacrifice by basically burning off regeneration, Jodie Whittaker shows up as the 13th Doctor. And I'm not upset to see Jodie. I'm not. I may not have enjoyed her era, but you know what? Whatever. She's someone's first Doctor, so she always gets that modicum of respect from me. All right, she got some people to watch Doctor Who. That's all any doctor needs to do. If you can do that, you've succeeded. She comes in like, "Hey, you gotta do this right and whatnot." I'm like, "You're just fan service, aren't you?" But to be fair, the weirdest thing was that these two didn't get to send each other off. Jodie did not get to send off Shooty. David Tennant did. It's weird. So, 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 after burning off regeneration energy, here's what happens. The Doctor gets Poppy back, but has worked reality so specifically that not only has Belinda's reality been rewritten so that she has the daughter, all right, that she's raising by herself. Well, not really by herself. She had a one night stand with a really nice guy she met, and they co-parent basically. They went their own separate ways, but the child is no longer Poppy is no longer half human, half Time Lord is now all human, and everything's been rewritten so that every time Belinda tells us about getting back home, she's talking about getting back to Poppy, to her daughter. I'm like, okay, this seems like a great cause. The doctor get to have his cake and eat it too. All right, and I'm like, this feels so unremarkable for a final episode for a doctor because I've seen them all. Like look, you see, yeah, I've seen every generation story. I have, like, some of you just aren't that cool, but as I've seen them, I get it. All right, they should be interesting. This decided to be a whole episode about the Doctor saving one person, which would make sense for the Doctor, but this spectacle just felt so undeserved for the Doctor then to regenerate into Billy Piper. And I'm just here to say, the Billy Piper fans are eating good. They are eating good right now. She already announced that well, it was already announced earlier that she's doing, I think it's a 10, 12 part series with Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor on Big Finish, and now she's going to be the next Doctor. I knew that was always going to happen at some point, that a companion was going to play the Doctor. Um, I thought Nicola Bryant could have done it, Sophie Aldred. Um, I think Liz Sladen would have been a great choice. Another lifetime ago, India Fisher, um, Charlotte Elspeth Pollard would have been great. I think those would have been great choices. Jenna Coleman would have been a great choice. Um, Billy Piper is just sort of Russell basking in his own glory again because he's basically brought everything back from his era. All right, we're gonna Jackie Tyler as the Ronnie next. Please don't. The only people that have been brought back are John Barrowman, Noel Clark. Somehow between those two, I don't know, and Freema, because he's already brought back Martha. No, he's already brought back Donna. Already brought back David Tennant. Uh, Bernard Cribbins, which was great. But now Billy Piper's back. What is Russell going to do now? Is she going to go on adventures with Freema as Martha? That'd be cool. Those two never really got to do anything. But this story was so boring at the end of it. Like, you dangled the world in front of me. All right? Oh my god. The Rani as just being the first real Doctor Who crush I've had in a while. Pearl Mackie, I know you're a lesbian, but still, in another timeline, you still would date me. But you you dangled you gave me the world, and you gave me just so depressing. So you gave me a lot of member berries. Hey, Anita's been trying to find the Doctor. She's found different versions of him. It was really cool to see the 11th Doctor again. That was great. The second Doctor was there. The third Doctor, like, that was cool. But this episode just sort of went everywhere. Like, again, you were on the edge of greatness, and you decided to make it be about Poppy. And let's not act like that baby turned out a great performance. That is a baby. All that baby has to do is be quiet the whole episode. That's kind of it. I'm not hating on the baby. I hate that the baby is the story. All right. Ugh. Could it have been worse? Yeah. It turns if you made it so it turns out that baby was the Doctor, and that's how the Doctor ended up being found by Tecteun. There you go. That'd be wild. At half Time Lord, half human baby ends up in another dimension, found by Tectoon, experimented on, and there you go. We've now explained the timeless child. Like it was really just a whole bunch of scenes crambled together to try to be interesting. I don't feel anything from this entire story. All right. The doctor and Belinda, like, hey, she finally got back to May 24th. You realize she had nothing going on in her life before this whole reality change. Like, she just wanted to get home. That's kind of it. And really, I think like episode six, like 3 episodes, like by the sixth episode, she kind of like, oh, okay, let's go see this. Wish World, she was not caring. I like everyone is so underutilized here, and Millie Gibson's here to play Ruby, and Ruby's like, hey, I remember things, but they never explain how I remember things. So is Ruby actually special after all? I don't I don't know, and I don't care. Russell has I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who any of this is for. What's the point of any of this? We're giving a bunch of member berries. And but they're the worst kind of member berries. Does the Doctor remember Omega as he met him? Does he remember Omega from the stories? Like he's seen Omega in the Three Doctors and probably in Arc of Infinity. So he knows what Omega looks like. He's like, that is not Omega. But apparently Omega was in the Underverse and he got to reimagine himself as he wanted, so he chose that. He want to look like Peter Davison? I look like Peter Davison. He's Time Crasher Peter Davison. Um, I oh, it just and the world it's in, and the Doctor's rebelling because like, hey, I wore this regular suit the whole time. Now I wear this clearly skirt, not a kilt, but a skirt, and a tight vest, and like I'm going in, I'm being awesome, and wow, yes, Queen. Go, I just don't care. This Doctor feels like such a time capsule of a bunch of Gen Z memes, and I just don't care. Has Doctor moved on without me? Am I not needed for Doctor Who? All right, really, Doctor doesn't need me at the end of the day. Um, I'm not excited. I'm not interested. I'm like Billy Piper's here. I'm sure Billy Piper will do a great job. But I'm just not that interested in it. Omega, Time Lords, the Rani, and you just took it away. You took it away. And Shooty's gone. Shooty's gone. If you're new to the Bucket Tank Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have any opinions about this episode, feel free to let me know. If you like it, I really do want to hear from you. I really do. Um, if you don't like it, hey, let's let's complain about this together. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'll catch you all later. This is Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well. Also, my glasses broke. Yeah, this has been a day. This has been a day.